Hey everybody, it's good to see you, sort of. As much as I can see you through the forums and through your blog entries. Glad to see so many people from Course 1. The last offering of Course 1 are up for this one. And I noticed that some of you recognized each other from the forums. So that's great. Speaking of forums, you've been really terrific with the first week of assignments. A lot of great exchanges. I mean, not only are you sort of responding to our prompts and questions, but you're kind of taking the conversation off on your own. You're really discussing a lot of things that you all, sort of share in common. Things about, issues about rubrics and assessment and testing, a lot of testing stuff. So I encourage you to keep working with each other and having those conversations. They're wonderful. There's an open forums in the forums page. It's the whole class forums. If you just want to start a new thread or you want to start a new topic of discussion, don't feel like you have to continue to use those forums from assignment 1 and 2. They're getting pretty crowded. I mean, you all were very prolific in your conversation there. But if you want to start a new thread, you can start one there. I wanted to take this moment to kind of talk about some of the issues that have come up in week 1. They're not issues, they're just topics of conversation, things I noticed from your forum conversations. A couple of issues or items associated with questions that I've gotten from participants. So you can read the text here below, but I'll briefly kind of go over each one of them. One thing that's not listed below I do want to talk about is Course 3. A lot of you are asking, when is Course 3 going to happen? Course 3 is we're going to have a spring offering of Course 3. It'll start somewhere around January, February. The dates haven't been pinned down yet. We'll meet essentially online in T-Square for about a week or two maybe. And then the idea is that you will go off and you will teach your PBIL unit at some point over the spring semester. And then around May or so, end of May, we'll get back together for a week or two to kind of finish out the course. So the hours won't increase. You won't have, it's not a semester full of hours. You'll just spread those hours out over a longer period of time. But the idea is that you'll take this thing that you've identified in this course, this PBIL, which some of you even started in Course 1. You got that 7E organizer. But that's just a brief outline, and that's just an initial idea. I mean, you need time to sort of reflect and think about this and plan. You need the information from this course to really look back at that idea in the 7E organizer and say, is this really what I want to do? Is it really meeting my needs? Is it actually hitting the mark? So you're going to learn a lot of information about how to design a PBIL in this course. And the intention is that when you walk out of this course, you won't necessarily be ready. You won't have that big binder with the chronological event and everything you need in that binder to go do this PBIL. What you'll have is an entire plan, an entire organized framework where you will then be able to go out and get the activity and run the photocopies and put that in there and say, I'm doing this activity here and I'm doing this one here, and it's I'm doing it because it's addressing this particular element of a standard, and I wanted to see how students are doing at this point and then at this point and this point. So it kind of helps really map out the project. It's going to tie learning goals to assessments, to activities, to resources, and help you sort of in your head and on a piece of paper really get you organized and ready to go out there and do your PBIL. The 7E organizer wasn't enough to do that. It was just an idea. That's just a brainstorm, if you will, and trying to map that out was really an intention there, and to see it sort of through an inquiry lens. Now we're going to use the tools in this course to really solidify that idea. So Course 3 will be where you actually implement. So when this course is over, you'll still have work to do. You still want to pull some things together. You're still going to want to identify some things. You might want to work with some of your other teachers to start to expand the PBIL out from just beyond your class. So we're going to give you some time to kind of reflect on this course, take some time to digest it, think about it, organize some things, so that in the spring semester you're ready to go. If you're teaching this topic in the fall, well then you can wait and do Course 3 when we offer it in the fall, and it'll be the same format. All right, you can read through the list of things below that some of the things I want to talk about. Many of you talked about rubrics. As I say, many of you wisely noted the importance of formative assessment in PBIL. Well, rubrics are a big part of that. If you want to understand where kids are and what their proficiencies are, you have to start working with rubrics. As we move into next week, we're going to start talking about the difference between formative assessment and summative assessment, or an evaluation. Summative assessment is, what is it you expect kids to be able to do at the end of this in terms of generating a product, or maybe a solution to the problem, or answering the challenge that is this PBIL. And then what are the grades you're going to collect along the way? How are you going to evaluate students? Rubrics are a big part of that, and next week you're going to have an opportunity to look at what makes a good rubric. You're going to be able to download some sample rubrics from our site, and then in this blog next week I'll forward on a document that helps you sort of plan and build your own rubrics. So that'll be key. But many of you were talking about that in the forum, and I think that's a great, and I'm really glad to see that you've got your eye on that. A lot of you wanted to know about project size. You're wondering if your project was too big or is it too small. And what I always tell people who are sort of, I guess we'll say, novice to this or new to this or just don't feel real confident with it, don't try to do a project that's a semester long. And don't try to start with a project where you're involving 6 other people who are new to it as well. I know you're looking at examples of people doing projects with the math teacher and the technology teacher, maybe even the language arts teacher, that sort of thing. That's the goal. It would be great for you to get there. It would be wonderful to get there. But you're often going to find that if you're taking this course, you might be one of the few people in your school who really understands this thing. You might even be the only person in your school who understands this type of work. And you need to make sure that your expertise and experience is up before you try to partner with other people maybe. The other thing is that it's a lot to plan, it's a lot to execute, and I wouldn't try doing a whole year of PBILs until you've at least tried one. So try to think of something between a 2 and 6 week time period if you're new to this. The RRV challenge that I offered up in Course 1, I did that every year with 8th and 9th grade students, and that's a 2-week challenge. It's 10 days, and it's wonderful. And we learn really nice content, and we learn a lot about habits of science and characteristics of science, and it serves as a really good foundation for the other projects that I do through the year because I'm always pointing to those sort of basic lessons learned in the first challenge, the RRV challenge. So keep that in mind. Also, we were talking a little bit about co-teachers. It'd be great for you to involve other people, but make sure that make sure you realize you don't have to have other teachers to do a PBIL. I spent years doing PBILs sort of alone in my classroom, so it's not something where you have to have other people. I think there is a wonderful opportunity, and I think it gives the students a really unique experience when you work with a team or you do a cross-disciplinary, but it doesn't mean you have to have it. So I know you're looking at examples of these big teams all working on this big project together, and that certainly has its advantages, but realize it's not necessary. And I also would encourage you to look at the other people that are in this course and think about teaming up with them maybe. There is an option for you all to sort of create co-units together, and if you're going to do that, you need to let me know. You're all still responsible for the assignments, that sort of thing. We can talk about that. But use the resources you have here in this course. A lot of people are wondering I saw some questions about when do they do this? When do they have time to do this? Well, is it done after school? Is it always just sort of an add-on at the end of the year or reward for good work all year? For me, this was curriculum. This is when I delivered my standards. This was not in addition to it. It was the thing that I felt helped students learn science that I was responsible for teaching. So and that's the design of this course, and that's the design most PBIL practitioners and designers intend for, that this is done as curriculum. So I know that seems difficult. If you teach one concept every 3 days, that may sound like, well, how do you do that? Well, that's the beauty of project-based learning. You can do a lot of concepts. You can do a lot of things, especially when it comes to characteristics of science and habits of mind of science. You can do all of that in a PBL. And I think the examples, the case studies will probably show you that. The last thing I'm going to mention here is that I've noticed a lot of people are not getting their blog posts up. Right now, as it stands, it's Monday at 5 o'clock, and 7 of the 15, there are still 8 people who have not posted assignment 3 or assignment 4 in their blog. If you want people to comment on your blog and you need to respond to others in their blog, you got to get your information up a little bit earlier than Monday or Tuesday. Yes, the final assignment is due by Tuesday. And that's to give you enough time. Not everyone has, sometimes schedules make that difficult, but try and get your templates pasted up into your blog so that others can review and get comments. You also are not limited to the one above you and one below you. If you want to comment on more than one blog, feel free. I'm sure people would appreciate it, and I think it would add to the whole class.